Bioshock Infinite is an overhyped, blockbuster disappointment whose positive aspects have been overblown by unobjective reviewers almost everywhere you look. I feel like as a reviewer you need to put away any childlike, intellectual property-based fanboyism when reviewing a game, but that obviously isn't being done with this one. Otherwise, reviewers would see Infinite's many shortcomings and not come close to mistaking this one for a great shooter. Let's get down to brass tacks. I loved the first Bioshock. It was touted as a masterful game in terms of storytelling and immersive atmosphere, but above all else, it was a gamer's game. It was fun to fight, it was fun to strategize, it was fun to explore the environments, it was just fun being in the world in the protagonist's shoes. More often in first-person shooters, this comes down to level design and the strategy or sometimes choices that design calls for because of the inherent similarities that first-person shooters share. Infinite's level design is dry. It's as been there, done that as ever, and most of the battles are just onslaught after onslaught of enemies, the only thing changing being the scenery or the room you're in. Speaking of been there, done that, Infinite offers nothing substantially new to the table. The plasmids are replaced with vigors, and behave exactly the same. Gameplay-wise, this is the same game you've played before, only with worse pacing and less compelling options as to how you engage the enemies. Let's review a list of things that have been added to the gameplay. You now have Elizabeth, who can suddenly bring items you need through mysterious and not well-explained tears, in addition to picking up items and throwing them to you. There are also rails you can travel on, and I didn't find them nearly as thrilling as other reviewers did. Considering you don't really see the ground, just clouds, being high up on rails isn't really scary or thrilling, and it seems a bit ridiculous when you ask yourself why the character's arm doesn't get ripped out of its socket as he jumps down from great distances, suddenly grabbing onto a new railing system with one arm, or jumping down from the railing from extreme heights without taking damage. Anyone who thinks the rail traveling is thrilling shouldn't ride a roller coaster. I said this was a list of additions to the gameplay, but I guess I'll include this. In Infinite, you can only carry 2 guns at one time. Not much of an addition, since it's less, but it is a change to the gameplay formula, and an interesting one at that. I feel like limited gun selection favors less chaotic survival-type games, and Infinite is definitely on the more action-y side of the FPS pendulum. It's just an annoyance that means you frustratingly won't always have the ideal gun for the job. The setting is initially novel and nice. However, after a while, when my eyes began to filter out the clouds, I noticed the setting wasn't doing much in terms of atmosphere. My feet were still planted on firm ground after all. The setting ends up being a novelty, and a disingenuous one at that. It's too obvious to go from the bottom of the ocean in the first game to high up in the clouds in this one, and the premise is poorly explained via a take-our-word-for-it bit of sci-fi garble the designers obviously don't want you to look too far into. The city of Rapture was moody and intriguing, and the setting could even be at times more than a novelty. There were hectic moments when the ocean would break through and come crashing in. There were even times when you would venture out into the ocean, and the water was this alien element abnormally surrounding you, transforming your environment into something moody and different. In Infinite, you're surrounded by air. Unless you live in LA, you're probably surrounded by air anyway. Then there's the story, and oh boy, do reviewers ever love to go on and on about how Infinite is unafraid to explore the taboo, to go into dark areas bravely. Is it really that brave to explore the taboo when the decision you ultimately come down on is a politically correct and thoroughly explored one anyway? The designers are not actually saying anything unexpected, so is the bravery in simple subject matter? And if so, so what? Infinite reinforces the politically correct, and in doing so has nothing new to say. And I don't expect a video game to. I don't expect a video game to have a grand statement or make you think about things. It's perfectly fine if it does, but let's not kid ourselves. Can you really come up with a compelling point that this game is making, and if so, is it something unexpected? Did its philosophy really make you think that much, or are we really just tickled that a video game is approaching taboo subject matter and attempting to appear intellectual in terms of storytelling? Yes, people can be racist. Yes, religion can be taken too far. Is that it? Is there anything else? You see, this is my problem with popular reviews on this game. From reading them, you'd think this game was something it's not. A clever bit of grand statement akin to great literature. What it really is an okay shooter in a neat novel time frame and a neat novel floating city with an M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end. It's a step backwards for the Bioshock series. I'm giving it a 5.7.